Hey guys, Sean here and welcome to the F1 Word. Now last week I teamed up with Planet F1 to bring you the nominees for their end of season awards, and those 5 categories were for driver, team and overtake of the season, as well as recovery drive and race of the season. Safe to say the nominees divided more than a few of you, but a lot of you did have your say and headed over to the website to vote. So here are the final results, starting with race of the season. So just a reminder that your 8 nominees were Bahrain, China, Azerbaijan, Britain, Germany, Italy, United States and Brazil. And looking at the vote, it was very close, certainly from 3rd downwards. But in 3rd place, you've put the German Grand Prix. That took 10% of the vote. 2nd place went to Baku with 17%. And I have to say, in the comment section to that video, there was a lot of love for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. But in 1st place, and your winner with 32% of the vote, was the United States Grand Prix, and I really can't argue with the US taking the win on this one. It was a fantastic race which kept us right on the edge of our seats all the way to the flag. That top 3, all in the same shot to the line. It was brilliant. And of course, we got to see Kimi Räikkönen take his first win in 113 races. Awesome stuff. Personally, I still think Bahrain should be up there, but that's just me. I think that race was absolutely brilliant. But your top 3 there are definitely races well worth watching again. Next up was recovery drive of the season, and your 5 nominees were Alonso in Azerbaijan, Hamilton at the British Grand Prix, Hamilton again in Germany, Max Verstappen at the US Grand Prix, and Verstappen again in Russia. But in 3rd place, you've put Max Verstappen's recovery at the US Grand Prix. That took 24% of the vote. In 2nd place with 27% was Lewis Hamilton's recovery in Germany. But the winner with 34% of the vote was Fernando Alonso at the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. I mean, that top 3 is not really surprising at all. They are all fantastic comeback drives, and although I went with Max Verstappen when we discussed it last week, when you consider how poor that McLaren was and with it carrying damage as well, Alonso's drive in Baku was stunning. I'm going to be honest, I am intrigued to know how many voted for him making it back to the pits as the comeback, or whether it was for his points finish. But I suspect it's probably a little bit of both. Just a typical Fernando Alonso drive, and he's certainly going to be missed next season. As for overtake of the season, your 6 nominees were Hamilton's triple overtake in Bahrain, Ricciardo's brilliant move on Bottas in China, Bottas on Hartley at Spa, Sebastian Vettel's move on Valtteri Bottas at Silverstone, Hamilton on Vettel in Russia, and Magnussen's phenomenal move on Leclerc in Japan. And in 3rd place, you went with Hamilton's triple overtake in Bahrain. That got 18% of the vote. In 2nd place with 25% of the vote, it was Magnussen's move on Leclerc in Japan. But the winner with 36% of the vote was Daniel Ricciardo on Valtteri Bottas in China. Look, I'm not surprised to see Ricciardo win this for his move in China. It was my favourite of the year after all. But I'm sorry, Danny Ric fans, I still rate Magnussen's move on Leclerc higher. And in my view, I think that deserved to win. And quite frankly, had that been Hamilton, Vettel, Verstappen or Alonso making that move, it would probably have won by a mile and we'd have never heard the last of it. But that should never take away from how good Ricciardo's move was. It was super late, super aggressive for the win as well. Great to watch, and as we said last week, just typical Daniel Ricciardo. On to team of the season then, and for this one there were 8 nominees, everybody but McLaren and Williams for obvious reasons. But in 3rd place with 15% of the vote, you went for Haas. In 2nd place, taking 25% of the vote, was Sauber. But in 1st place with 35% of the vote, and your team of the season are Mercedes. I mean, what can you say? Frankly, that top 3 is pretty much spot on in my view. Maybe not in that order as we discussed last week, but they were probably the best 3 teams of the season. I say probably because when you throw in the likes of Renault and Force India, for example, it really is a tough pick. There have been some fantastic performances from some teams this year. But when it comes to Mercedes, 11 wins, 25 podiums out of 42, 655 points and a 5th title in a row. Kind of speaks for itself. Although I think Sauber and Haas were the bigger surprises, if you like, hence I guess why I went for Haas last week, clearly people could not ignore the stats and the impressive season the Silver Arrows have had. Last up then, and I suppose the one that most people want to see the results to, and that is driver of the season. Your 7 nominees were Lewis Hamilton, Kimi Räikkönen, Max Verstappen, Nico Hülkenberg, Fernando Alonso, Charles Leclerc and Pierre Gasly. So then, taking 3rd place with 15% of the vote is Max Verstappen. What a second half of the year he had, a hell of a turnaround. In 2nd place with 22% of the vote is the rookie Charles Leclerc. Stunning first season in the sport and totally, as I've said multiple times now, deserves that call up to Ferrari next year. So you can probably guess where we're going with this one. In first place with 38% of the vote is Lewis Hamilton. 11 poles, 11 wins, 17 podiums, 408 points and title number 5. Frankly, whether it's liked by some people or not, they are stats that completely justify Lewis Hamilton ending this poll on top. Yeah, alright, I went with Charles Leclerc last week when I was discussing this with Dan, but that was more because we were trying to avoid picking the same nominees in these categories and looking at alternative options. Not that I was trying to take anything away from what Lewis has achieved this year. Is it his best world title? I will be discussing that in a video at some point soon. But back to this vote, and in all honesty, that top 3 is pretty much what I expected. And it's come as no great surprise, really. And looking at it, I'd be very hard pushed to disagree in all honesty, but I'm sure there will be plenty of you who do. That is it then for the 2018 Planet F1 End of Season Awards. I just want to take this opportunity to say a massive thank you to everyone over there for getting me involved in this. It's been a real change of pace and something a little bit different that I've thoroughly enjoyed. And of course, thank you to all of you who voted and who got involved over the last week. Now, I will be back soon with more content as ever, but in the meantime, you can follow me over on social media. Links to Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and of course to Discord are all in the description down below. But as ever, thank you for watching. I've been Sean, this has been the F1 Word, and until next time, goodbye.